The long-awaited JP Estrella interview part 2 is here. It's Locked On Syracuse. It's right now.
Are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Syracuse your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Matt Bonaparte. That's Brad Klein. And with us today is JP Estrella. JP, thanks for being here, friend.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So you're joining us live from the airport, which we very much appreciate. So the last time we spoke, we were talking a lot about what you're looking at in Syracuse, what you're looking at in Duke, because at the time, those were the top two contenders for your recruitment. Since then, the big news, of course, is that you canceled the Duke trip. So just tell us what happened there. What's the story?
Well, I want to play freshman year, because that's a big learning curve, and the best way to get better is playing. So they were really deep in my position. So I just they gave me the opportunity if I wanted to still keep this recruiting going or not, go on the visit or not. It was all up to me, and they were totally fine with me saying thanks, but no thanks, and that's just what happened, really.
Now, we know that you're pretty locked in on social media and you read the headlines. So when you canceled the Duke visit, that was a big day in Syracuse, the 315. Were you at all surprised or maybe even overwhelmed by the response of you canceling a visit for a completely different school and Syracuse just shocked?
Oh, that day was kind of crazy. I can't lie. I got a ton of texts, ton of calls, tags, all that. It was pretty nuts, but it wasn't too bad. I have a feeling later in a couple. When I feel like when I commit and all that, it's gonna be like 10 times worse. So I'm prepared now.
Hey, speaking of commitment, if you ever need a platform,
10 times
right
better,
here.
10 times worse, depending on where you commit. If it's Syracuse, it's better.
Well, if you ever need a platform, JP, we're right here if you want to announce it right on Locked On Syracuse. But you're coming off your Syracuse visit right now. I assume you're at Hancock or no?
It was a weird position. So we're actually in Baltimore right now. We went from we were supposed to go from Syracuse to Washington to Maine. So we got to Washington, and my plane in Maine got canceled. So we drove 40 minutes to here, and then we're gonna fly out in about 8 hours to Maine.
Okay, that sounds awful. That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we could help ease the time for you. So you're coming off the Syracuse visit. Give us some of the highlights. What did you get to do? Who'd you get to meet? Who'd you get to see? What did you get to do?
Oh, sorry. I got to play some golf with the guys. I got to hang out at Coach Boeheim's house. Those are probably my two favorite moments, and probably another funny favorite moment was seeing the managers 1v1. I thought that was pretty cool too.
Cool.
We've heard great things about those Boeheim family barbecues. Is that legit? Is the hype real?
The hype is real. It was that place is nuts. The basement especially. They got like hoops down there, arcade. It's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. It was nuts. Seeing all of his gold medals, all of his rings. It was crazy.
So you're on the course with the guys. Who is the best and worst golfers there?
Probably Red's probably the worst. He was pretty bad. I can't lie. But it's fine. He's I think me and him tied actually. So me and him were both the worst. And then either Mac or Joe were the best. Those two are really
Joe
good.
talks a big game. Joe talks a big game about his golf.
He's good. And then we did a scramble at the end of it, and me and Joe ended up winning the scramble versus everyone. So that was pretty cool.
I could see Joe getting like way too caught up in it. Just really competitive.
He's extremely competitive. Especially versus Red. Red, he was getting all competitive in that. It was hilarious.
All right.
I'm curious as well about. So, how many days did you spend in Syracuse?
I flew in the morning. I had that whole day, and then the next day I did another whole day, and then I just left this morning.
Okay, so it's probably pretty jam packed.
It was, yeah. It was very.
But did you get to explore the city at all? Did Boeheim or any of the other people that you were with give you any tips on places to go?
Oh yeah, some of the players did. Red drove us around everywhere. Just looked around the city, looked around campus, and it was beautiful, really.
What were your biggest takeaways from the visit? Maybe as far as the student experience, but also the whole college basketball player thing.
I think the biggest takeaway for me was just how well their chemistry is and how well they are on and off the court. Like they're pretty much just one big family, which I really enjoy and look forward to doing when I get into college. Just seeing how well they communicate with each other, how well they interact with each other by themselves and with the coaches. That was probably the best thing I thought about the whole thing.
And take basketball aside for a second. What is your dream school, and does Syracuse kind of fall in line with what you expect?
Dream school, I guess. My dream school, well, basketball, of course, but no basketball. Probably just be like a good sports management school, like something along those lines. And they do a great job over there. I think I learned. I did like 2 hours or hour and a half of learning all about that, which is great. And they did an excellent job.
Shout out Falk.
We're not asking for a number here, but would you say that the Syracuse visit has the orange trending up for you, or maybe even or down?
Definitely up. It definitely was a lot more than I expected. It definitely rose it up a ton. I think it was just a great visit.
And now, in terms of recruitment, at least from the outsider's perspective, obviously you have all the information. It's Iowa and it's Syracuse that are courting you right now as the two top schools. What would you say is alluring about the Hawkeyes or alluring about Syracuse? Like, what are the pros and cons in your eyes?
Um, I guess. Well, it's mostly. I think my like including in that mix probably Tennessee too. Those three I think are probably
Okay,
the
sure.
talk to me the most and all that. But mostly all of them communicate with me very very well. They both all want me to fit pretty much in the same offense. So if Syracuse wants me to be more of a shooter, or stretching the floor, being a five, stretching the floor, being a four with another big in the game, a rim protecting, pure big man, something that's fair, step me in the middle of a 2-3, edge of the 2-3, being athletic. And other schools are the same, just with man to man. That's just pretty much that's about it really for that piece. And then all the schools want me to be, just super quick, shoot the ball, finish at the rim, and be a great playmaker on the perimeter and post.
And you talked about how you canceled the Duke trip because maybe the situation you were going to be in at Duke wasn't play right now. Is that something you're seeing at Syracuse? Is the Syracuse recruiting staff telling you, JP, when you get here, you're going to play?
Yeah, they haven't really made that thorough yesterday. We were watching some film. At the end of the film, the first thing he told me is you're gonna play here. That's the biggest thing he told me. He said because that is the biggest thing to do freshman year. Freshman year is all about development, all that, and the best way to develop is playing the games. So he really wants me to play a ton, and he thinks like me and Reed would be Reed Duchamp would be two of the biggest guys to come in that 23 class and just really play.
Actually, I'm glad that you even mentioned Reed because something that we noticed a lot from this past recruiting class from 2022 is that a lot of the guys, even a lot of the guys that didn't end up coming, were in communication with one another and they're almost recruiting each other. Is that something that you guys are doing? Are you in contact with Reed? Like, hey, I'm visiting now. I like this. You should come with me. Come play with me.
Not that much. But I bet when I get to school and all that, there'll be a ton of that for sure.
Yeah.
All right, let me take a break real quick. Tell the audience about LinkedIn. As you gear up for fall, you need the right people on your team to help your small business fire on all cylinders. LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. Create a free job post in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of over 810 million people. Then add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring so your network can help you find the right people to hire. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. That's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. And did you know that every week nearly 40 million people or job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply.
So we're here, we're talking to JP Estrella, 2023 four-star big, a guy that's described his game as a Kristaps Porzingis type, and that seems to be what Syracuse sees for him. Immediate playing time, shooting at the forward/center position. Just took his official visit. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, you have Iowa coming up, or you already had Iowa. That's right. So Syracuse was your last visit. Now you're going home eventually to make your decision. Is that right? Is that the timetable?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm going home for a couple of days. Then I head off to Chicago for the Elite 24 game, and then I go to Dallas for a week to work out with a couple NBA guys, Drew Timme, Julius Randles, for a week with my trainer too. So that should be pretty fun. Then after that, probably really talking to thorough with family and get ready to pull the trigger and get it done.
Now, how would you compare the Iowa visit and the Iowa pitch to Syracuse's?
The Syracuse visit was a little different because I got to I've been there a lot already, so I got to hang out with more of the players and coaches a lot more, watched a little more film. Iowa, I haven't been there, so I looked a lot around campus and all that, which is nice. And then the different pitches is Iowa wants me to be a fast five-man. They want me to run the floor, pick and pops, free play and all that, man-to-man defense. Syracuse wants me to be a stretch five, but also wants me to be that four position with another big in there sometimes, shooting the ball a ton, and it's just plopping me in the 2-3 really.
Something I'm really curious of. Sorry, Brad. I just want to ask this question.
Go ahead.
For a recruit, especially a guy like you who's going to be a big, how do the recruiting staff and Boeheim specifically talk to you about how you're going to play the 2-3 zone? How do they explain it to you?
They really just said they just want me to be long and athletic. I'm a good defender, and they just want me to be just in the middle of that. I'm a very good communicator too. I bark a lot. Again, they really want me to do that too, and just be a very effective communicator. Challenge shot to the rim, which I'm really good at too, and they just think I'll be very effective in that spot.
In the similar yet slightly different roles offensively that Iowa and Syracuse project for you, whereas Syracuse might be seeing also a stretch five, but stretch four role at times, playing with maybe Jesse Edwards in the middle of the zone and you on the wing, and then Iowa predominantly almost solely as a five. So which role, even though they're very similar, which role do you see yourself in more, the Iowa version or the Syracuse version?
Honestly, the role doesn't really matter to me. It just matters if we're winning. That's the biggest thing to me. And if the coach wants me to do something, I'll do it. But, both roles, I think, fit me 50-50. Both fit me very well. I can do both of each very well, I think. And I think both aspects of those fit my game very well. I think one of them is just a little more perimeter. One of them's a little more post. And honestly, it just depends how I feel going. It depends how I'm feeling in the game. If I'm shooting the ball really well, I'll probably want to be a little more the four. Finish around the rim a ton, and I'll probably want to be more than five.
Was that the expectation for you going into these visits? Did you expect those coaches to want you in those roles, or maybe do you want to play a different kind of role on each side of the ball?
I definitely expected those two. I don't think I'm like a 1-2, obviously. Definitely not. I maybe develop into a straight four if I get the handle more tight, get the handle a little bit better, but definitely I think those two positions fit me very well.
Actually, we were talking to Mike McAllister, not specifically about you, but about Syracuse Recruiting from SI Syracuse. I think you've been in contact with him. Love Mike, friend of the pod, shout out. And he's great. And something that he was talking about was, as far as Syracuse recruiting bigs, was the rise of Jesse Edwards and how important that is for proof that Syracuse can develop and mold bigs, especially with a guy like Alan Griffin, who's a former guard, right, as your bigs coach. So how much have you been in contact with Jesse, especially on the visit? Was that something that you may be taking notes from him?
I definitely saw a ton of practice. Most majority just watching the bigs work out. He's very dominant, very big. Very very aggressive. Finishes at the rim very well. Great block shots. Blocked a million shots when I was there. I definitely stayed in contact with him with a lot throughout the visit. They just wanted me to see like what he was doing at practice and all that. Eating, getting off to. He's back from. That was pretty cool. And then he's heading back over there again. I think his first game is Nikola Jokic, so that should be pretty fun to watch too. I'm in pretty good contact with him.
JP, I love having you here because you're a plethora of information, but you'll also get to answer all my questions that I've had about Syracuse recruiting for so long.
Yeah.
What do they?
I can't hear you right now. Oh crap!
Oh, brutal.
Good.
Okay.
I can't hear. Can I quickly?
Yeah. If you want to leave and come back, go ahead.
Come back.
Go ahead.
We're going to talk about BetOnline while you're gone because BetOnline is unbelievable. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find all of your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news of every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports wagering information, from live in-game betting, scores, podcasts, they've got you covered. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the action happening today. BetOnline is where the game starts. JP Estrella is here?
He's back.
All right, great. Hey, JP, you got us?
We've got him.
You got us.
Yes.
All right,
okay.
Great.
So the question I was going to ask
go
is, because I was saying that I love having you here because you get to answer all my questions I've had about Syracuse recruiting for so long. Do they introduce you to any alumni? Have you connected with anybody to really tell you about the full experience? Have you gotten to do that?
Not really. The only alumni I've connected to is the whole staff, and that's honestly I think has been very good because they've all played there, so I get to hear their stories about it, and coaches still there with them being the assistants now, so I get to hear a lot of good stuff from them.
I feel like we have to ask you. We asked you the first time. I'll ask you again, just because our fans want. It's kind of like that thing that they keep on refreshing the page, waiting for an update. Jim Boeheim ain't getting any younger, right? But he's still reaffirming that he's recruiting you because he's still going to be there for 2023 and potentially beyond that, right?
Definitely. That was a big question I had going into it, seeing how long he's in. He's like, he feels great. He's nothing's changed. He's ready to keep competing and just keep coaching basketball. That's his biggest thing. He just loves it.
So you're not getting the vibe that he's here for 2023, he's here for your freshman year, and then who knows, he's here for however long you're going to be here. That's the vibe?
Definitely.
All right. That's
cool.
Good news.
Interesting. We only know about the ironclad plan, but that gives us some more,
the plan is
detailed. Well, in this whole race, and now that you kind of introduced that Tennessee is kind of on it as well, and you're being recruited everywhere, this is just something that everybody has talked about, and a lot of people kind of just throw it away. Does the weather at all influence your decision?
Not really, because I live through it almost all the time. I'm in Maine, so the weather's absolutely freezing, and then I travel all the time, like to Florida, where the weather's absolutely hot. So the weather doesn't bother me now.
You mentioned you're going home to try to talk to family about it, make a decision. I don't know about you. When I was making my college decision, it felt like my decision at times, but at other times it was mom. Mom had her opinions, and she made them very, very clear. So how loud are those voices in your ears saying, oh, I think you should go here, I think you should go there?
Not that loud. My mom, she's been through this when she was in college, but she's mostly just let it be me, let me do my thing, when I'm feeling what the vibe is for me. Her thing is just, she's just there for me, help me throughout this whole thing. If I have any questions I need to be answered, I know I always can go to her, and she's been a big help. But no, she's been 100% supportive of me, and hasn't been too yappy yet.
And when it comes to the decision, obviously the end goal for you is to get and be successful in the NBA. You want to get to the NBA.
Yes.
And college for every athlete is a stepping stone to that perch. when you talk about the three programs that are interested in you, how do you rank them in terms of how much they're going to help you get there?
I rank them about because pretty much the biggest thing for me is culture and all that. If you have good chemistry off the court, then that's going to translate to on the court. And winning is obviously a big piece of getting to the next level. You got to be a winner. That's what NBA players are looking for. You got to be successful. You got to be a good teammate. Just the little things, really. And that's the biggest thing. All these colleges have done a great job of showing me that. And obviously the good basketball, of course, and playing. Run through the offense, playing good defense, being aggressive, all those things. And they've all done a great job of showing me that.
And you mentioned that those are your top three schools largely because they want you to play right away, and of course you do too. How much of your desire to play right away is there an element of, well, I want to get to the NBA. I want to play right away to prove my worth in the draft?
That doesn't affect me. I think right now I'll be in college for as long as I need to be, and when the time's right, I'll check myself in, and hopefully it happens and my name gets called. But I'll be in college as long as I need to be until the coaches pretty much kick me out. That's about it.
So you don't want to go. You're not going in wanting to be a one and done.
No, if it happens, it happens. But if it doesn't, I'm A-okay with staying another year. That doesn't bother me at all.
Gotcha.
How much is the 2022 class influencing your interest and maybe even further than that into Syracuse? Because from our standpoint, we think it's important for not just 2023 and not just for you, but for classes beyond that. If this class tanks, and it's a class that Jim Boeheim has said multiple times, the best class he's ever recruited in his nearly half century, if this class tanks, we don't know where that lands Syracuse recruiting. So how much are you looking to the guys that are just 1 year ahead of you?
I'm looking into it a little bit. They have a ton of guys. I watched them throughout the practice. All the freshmen are really good. I can see why he definitely.
To hear that.
Huh?
I just said love to hear that.
No, they are really good, and he was not lying when he says one of the best class. They're really tough. And I obviously looking into it. They're all really good players, and he said a couple of them are going to stay most likely another year or two, and if they're ready, they'll go. But he thinks that I can really blend in with a ton of them, especially the guards. He thinks it's just a great thing, and they are really good.
So if I could follow up there, out of curiosity, and I know that they're all good, so I don't want you to feel like you're singling anyone out, but who stuck out in practice from the freshman class?
Definitely Q was definitely one of them. JT, who else was there? Peter. There was another guard. I forget his name.
Judah Mintz?
Huh?
Judah Mintz?
Yes, Judah. All those guys are really good.
The hype is real around all those guys. I think a guy like Kadir Copeland and Peter Carey, those two, a lot of people have singled out mentioned as redshirt candidates. They might be interested or surprised to hear you even mention them there. What is it about them that surprised you?
Really, just Peter's athleticism and how well he rebounds the ball, I think, was just a big thing. And Judah was just a scorer. He scoring at will, just pull-ups, getting to the rim, just very good, super athletic for his size. Just all of them are good. And then you got Q, he's the best passer I think I've ever seen. It was ridiculous.
Wow.
Craziest thing. He threw some crazy best thing I've probably ever seen in my life. Like some crazy stuff. And then JT is just not miss. He's a bucket. He just it's lights out for him. And it was crazy to see how good these freshmen were.
You're hyping me up. All right, you got to be careful. You're hyping me up a ton. Okay, so you're talking about how great this class is, and Boeheim talked about how great it was as well. Does that add any pressure to you, knowing that those guys above you are so talented, and you kind of have to find your way how you're going to mix in there?
Not really. I think when I get there, I'll do my thing. Never scared of good competition. Yeah, I love to have it. Get you better. But yeah, I'm super excited. And the competition really it just gets greater and greater. And that's the best thing about it. Those guys above me are going to have more. More. They're going to see the game more often. They're going to play a lot more, so they know what college basketball is going to be about. And I get to learn from them, which is great, and I get to practice against them every day. So I think that's going to be very big for me.
just out of curiosity, just to turn back around to what you were talking about earlier with the coaches being the alums that you've been in contact with, how much does that help you get a gauge for the program, knowing that all the assistants played for the coach that you're playing with too, which is just so rare?
It was definitely good to hear. They've also they loved playing for him and they love coaching with him, and it just shows how good of a job Coach Boeheim does, and it just shows how big of a family they are because they all decided to come back and coach with him, which is just nothing I've ever seen really.
Did you get a hold of any good stories while you were there? Did anybody tell you a good story about Boeheim from back in the day?
That he was a head coach of the golf team when he first got there. That's what I heard.
Really? I didn't know that.
I thought that was nuts when I heard it.
Wow. Okay. So they don't have a golf team anymore. I guess you can look to Boeheim for one successful program and one very unsuccessful program then. Because he coached that team right into the ground, apparently.
Jeez, Matt.
They don't have a team anymore. I'm just saying. And JP could maybe walk on. I don't know. Maybe. So we're not going to tie you down to anything, but you have your main stint with your family coming up to try to figure out what you're going to do for college. Do you have a timetable or a specific target date that you want to make a decision by?
I'll probably announce the date. I have a date in mind, but I'll probably announce it in the next week or two. I'm not sure what day yet, but I definitely know I'm still mix and matching the date if I'm going to do it or not, or different date. But I definitely want to do it before I move into Brewster.
Okay. Now, one more thing from me before we let you go, because I know that NIL rules are so sensitive, and honestly, some people know them and some people don't, and that's what makes it even more sensitive. But how much have you been able to gauge the NIL opportunities in Syracuse versus, say, Iowa or Tennessee, and is that at all a piece of a visit at all?
To me, I don't think it's a big piece. I don't really care about the NIL. If it happens to me, it happens to me. Great, awesome. They both show me their pieces, and they're both all pretty much all about the same for each college.
He's all basketball all the time. I love that.
And golf.
JP, thank you so much for being with us again, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. If you want to go get more on the ACC, go to Locked On ACC. Make it your second listen. Candace Cooper takes you around the ACC in 30 minutes. Go make it your second listen. Thanks for making this one your first. We will talk to you later.